Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you all to the City of Somerville Zoning Board of Appeals meeting of Wednesday, September the 4th, 2024. Joining us tonight, we have the staff is behind us, backing us up. We have Emily Hutchins. She'll be talking to us back and forth. And we have Ann Brockelman. She's the vice chair. Ann Fullerton. Zachary Zaremba, Brian Cook, Cecilia Daglian, and I am Susan Fontano. Tonight under general business, we have to look at some meeting minutes from August the 14th, 2024. The board, you all got your copies of that. Does anybody have any comments regarding those minutes? Ann Brockelman, yes, please.
Yes, Madam Chair. On page 11, the August 14th minutes, the last sentence of this case, 89 College Ave, is unclear or conflicting, so I'd like to propose a revision.
Okay, is everybody following this? Ann, would you read what we want to approve? We've all seen what's there now.
Let me read what it says. It says,
All right.
motion by Acting Clerk Fullerton, seconded by members Zaremba. The board voted unanimously 0-4 to approve the administrative appeal in the case of 89 College Ave, based on the board's discussion. And then, in the highlight said result denied. I think the language should be acting clerk made a motion to approve the administrative appeal, which the board voted unanimously to deny, or something like that. Does everyone agree?
Agreed.
Anybody else have any comments, or is that okay?
Or denied the appeal, right? Did not approve the appeal.
Well, the vote was 0-4 to approve. So I'm not sure the language is wrong.
Oh. Unanimously to approve.
Oh, the unanimous vote. Yeah, it's confusing.
It says to approve, voted to approve.
Emily?
Madam Chair, through you, if I could suggest perhaps the board voted unanimously against the motion, 0-4 to approve, and the motion subsequently failed. Or something along that line. I think there can be some additional specificity in there.
I mean, there's no reason to put a unanimous in there, even though we like to have it in the minutes. It's just voted.
I agree. More succinct, the better.
Yeah.
Voted 0-4 against the motion to approve.
I like that. The motion was to approve.
It was.
Number one. So we stopped there. How about the motion failed and the board voted 0-4 to deny?
Madam Chair, through you,
Yes.
I think what Member Cook said was accurate and very, very succinct. So if
would you repeat it for us, Emily? You might have it in front of you.
Voted 0-4 against the motion to approve. Voted 0-4 against the motion to approve.
Oh, wow. Sorry, lost you for a minute. So what do we think about that? Do we like that last one? I lost you all for a minute here. 0 to 4 to approve, right?
Against the motion to approve.
Against the motion to approve. Is somebody writing this down that's gonna say it? Ann Brockelman, do you have
I
this? in
assume
front of you?
Emily, you'll get it.
Okay,
Can I make a
Ma-
motion to approve?
Madam Chair, through you, we'll get it sorted. We have this recorded too, if we
Okay,
have to
yeah,
go back to
approved.
it. So I think
Beautiful.
if everyone's comfortable right now, the motion would be to approve the minutes as amended.
Thank you. Everybody okay with that? Okay, so may I have a motion for
Okay.
the approval?
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of August 14th, 2024, as with the amendments as discussed.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ann Fullerton. All in favor as we go around? Zach Zaremba,
Yes.
Brian Cook,
Yes,
Cecilia Daglian,
Yes.
Ann Brockelman,
Yes.
Ann Fullerton,
Yes.
and Susan Fontano, yes. Let the record show the motion carried with the amendment to approve the minutes of August 14th, 2021. Thank you. First case under public hearings tonight, it's the only case, is 126 Cross Street. That's ZP 24000057. It was continued from August 14th, 2024. Are the appellants here?
Madam Chair, through you, I think Ann Brockelman has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Miss Ann.
Madam
Ann
Chair,
Brockelman.
yes, I was not present at that meeting, but I did listen to the recordings on 126 Cross Street and signed the affidavit stating as such, and submitted it to ZBA staff.
Thank you, Ann, for that information, for doing that. Mr. Cook, you weren't here last meeting. Are you ready for tonight's meeting?
likewise, I watched the video of the hearing and
Right.
signed the affidavit to that effect. So I'm ready to participate.
Thank you. Make a comment for the record that all of our members in presence tonight are ready to participate in the voting on this case. Thank you guys for that info. Emily?
Yes, Madam Chair, and through you, I'd just like to note that because there's, I take it back. There will need to be one alternate voting tonight, but all members can participate in the discussion.
Okay. Do we want a designation before the case or after? Does it matter?
Maybe most appropriate to do it before, just to.
Okay, well, tonight on this case, I'll pick Brian Cook. And I strongly ask Cecilia to participate. Thank you.
Right, and Madam Chair, through you, I believe I see the applicant present. I think I see a Nick S. If you can raise your hand, if you are here for the appellants, there we go. Nick, I'm promoting you to a panelist. And he will be rejoining us.
Hello,
Hi,
everybody.
Nick, welcome.
good evening. Nice to see you.
Same here. So,
And Madam Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt. Nick, do you have any other members of your team joining us? I do see one other raised hand.
Yeah, I think Charlie might be with us again.
Okay.
Charlie Ball.
All right, I am promoting him as well.
Fantastic.
All set? Okay. There he is.
Hi, everybody. Thank
Welcome.
you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, just remind us from, someone speaking? Oh, okay. Remind us, Nick, who, for us in the public, who you are, and then Charlie as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm Nick Spinelli. I'm the manager of Silver Realty LLC, and I'm representing the owners of 126 Cross Street in Somerville. And here again with me tonight is Charlie Wall. He's one of my colleagues and a well-respected real estate agent and broker. Both of us have been working in the Somerville area for, I've been personally, I think about 10 years, little over that. And I think Charlie's been more than that, maybe 20, 30 years. So, but I'll let him introduce himself.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Charlie Ball from Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Commonwealth in Somerville. I'm a full-time residential real estate broker in Somerville, and I have been for 26 years.
Thank you. And our records show that from the last meeting to tonight, you guys didn't add anything additional to us. We didn't receive any changes from you.
Correct. I think we were waiting to hear back
Hear from us.
the
Okay, great.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank
So,
you.
Emily, where do you think we should start? Should we start with the assessor or the planner? I know they're all here tonight.
So,
Who wants to kick it off?
so Madam Chair, through you, we do have several members of staff present this evening to review the case and answer questions that the board posed at the first hearing. We have Alana Gaffney from the Housing Division, we have Frank Golden from the Assessor's Office, and we have Nick Antenovica from Inspectional Services Department. So I believe the board had requested the presence of members from these departments or divisions just to address some questions that they had about the process, how determinations were made and how calculations were made. So I don't know if you want to start with those questions, because I don't believe there's any additional information beyond that to present.
Okay. For the record, we did leave the public portion open? Okay, do we know if we have people out there that had questions?
Madam Chair, through
Any
you,
hands?
we did leave the public portion open, so if you would like to take public testimony ahead of the comment period, I do see one hand raised, and I can pull up a 2-minute clock if you would like to do that as well.
You know, I think I'm going to ask them to sit tight for a few minutes where you don't see many hands and go right to the board. And let's clean up some of our questions. So you folks know who's out there. We have inspectional services, we have housing, and we have Nick, Frank Golden, Assessor's Office. So why don't you look at your notes and see who you want to have your questions to and speak up. Who would like to go first? Ann Fullerton.
Thank
Hi,
you,
Ann.
Madam Chair.
Yep.
Mr. Golden, so I think the hardest thing for me to reconcile in when discussing this case was the fact that the square footage of the unit was pretty substantially smaller than all of the square footages that were referenced. For us, the smallest that I'm seeing is just over 1,400 square feet, and the square footage of the unit was clarified to be 1,179. So I wanted to understand from the assessor's point of view, if how that was weighted, how the decision to proceed with qualifying it based on bedrooms versus square footage, whether or not it was at all reviewed again because of the disparity.
Okay, that is the major issue here is we have a 4-bedroom unit that's not of the same size to the properties that I feel are comparable. I don't have 1100. I have 1367. I don't know if is it 1100, Charlie, Nick?
Yeah, I think it's 1,179 based on the floor plans.
Okay, I'm familiar with 126 Cross Street. I mean, these comps all came from MLS, not the Warren Group. I want everybody to understand that I looked at four bedroom utility in the time period that I was asked to do this exercise is from November 1st, 2020 to November 1st, 2021. It's not current. In terms of the time period that I was given, the instructions were for this project, the unit type that would have it provided is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath condo. We need the average sales price of a comparable market rate unit sold within the 12-month period between 11/1/20 and 11/1/21. I did this two different ways. I did it up to when I was asked to do it, and I did it within that time period just to check myself because I didn't like the comps. And the 2 and 3 families that are converted in the city have similar gross living area to this unit. So the four bedroom is what the problem is. The 4-bedroom drives you into a group around 2,000, I'd say, square feet on average. So I determined this not from the Warren Group, from the multiple listing service, which is arm's length transactions within the city that were exposed to buyers properly. So I saw something that it was said that we used the average of the Warren Group. No, we didn't. I used the MLS when I got at the number that I had. The average that I gave to Nick back when I responded was 1,291,667. And the more I think about this and the more I review it, I couldn't agree more that the size is the issue. But when you look at properties that are selling in that 7 to 850 area, they are not of the quality of what you gentlemen are representing. I have MLS. I've been in the building. I've looked at the units. It's a complete renovation. It's nice. I think you're lacking a room or two, and specifically maybe a living or a dining area, because it's kind of like an open kitchen concept overlooking a family room. But it's a tough one, but I feel strongly that somewhere between the average that I provided and maybe $1 million is the window, but I don't think it's as low as what I reviewed. You gave me a 111 or a 112 apartment appraisal that didn't help me change my opinion at all. I don't know what your opinion of what a 4-bedroom, 2-bath condo is worth that's been completely renovated in the city. I'd love to know, but I don't think it's south of 7 figures. And I'm very comfortable with what I use. Dane Street, 43 Dane Street to me is a superior complex, yet it's relevant because it's new construction renovated like yours. So, I mean, that's kind of what I did. And I looked at everything, and the average that the ISD provided was right on with the Warren Group. It was what the guidelines said to do. They did it. I came back, lowered it a little. But again, in that time period, things were very hot. I think somewhere between my average and $1 million is where that property would fall if exposed to the market. I see they're all up for rent right now. I don't know how you're doing with that, but I don't see that any of them are on the active market with a sales price. If that helped everybody clarify what I did and why and how and all that. I mean, they're right on. They should be concerned. This unit's a lot smaller than what I'm putting on these visuals, but at the same time, it's not a 2 or 3 that was had a kitchen and a bath and some paint and sold for $850 either.
So Mr. Golden, if I could, I know I understand your position.
Madam Chair, I apologize for interrupting. I think that I'd like to remind everyone to speak through you and that you should be recognizing everyone.
And
I
they should also,
apologize, Madam Chair.
and everybody should be giving their name and who and what they represent for the record. One second. Ann, I want to go to Ann Fullerton for a question. Ann, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just want to understand from the assessor's perspective, is the process always to assess based on bed count or
No.
bedroom?
It, Madam Chair, through you, and yes, the utility is driven by bedroom. The value, if you put 4 bedrooms into MLS, and I wasn't in Davis Square, I tried to come as far as I could this way. I ended up in kind of the center of the city with the 3 comps that I used. I put the 2 Otises on there because they're map 90 and the subject is in map 92. But I looked at Otis hard and I just thought that their quality was greater than Otis, and Otis was almost 2 years later. So I'm just trying to do the best I can to help everybody. Typically as an assessor, there's discretion when there's this much finished area in variance. That's all. We do things like this to find the right answer. Although I do feel I am closer than probably, you know, the number that they're after. That's all. I guess is where I stand.
Thank you. Ann,
That answers my question. What I heard, just to repeat it back, was the bed count is the starting place and there is discretion based on neighborhood and level of quality.
right. Thank you. And anybody, and you can come back if you think of more things, just please feel free. Who else has a question? Ann Brockelman, Brian, anything? Cecia? Okay. So, Mr. Golden, hang tight. What about, I have a quick question, and it's probably in here someplace, forgive me, but it was a lot of reading. What's the plan for these? Are they rental or condo? Mr. Spinelli?
Yes, those are all rentals.
Rentals, okay. And, so you guys want to take advantage of, giving one up, contributing to the, fund, and then you'll be able to rent it with the other 5 as you see fit. That's the scheme of things, right?
That's correct.
Okay. I have just a quick comment. I hope I'm not out of line with this, but I thought many years ago we started to blend some of the redos in the apartment buildings and the housing, and including having, that's why we have, if you have 6, you give 1 for affordable housing. I think that's a good concept. And I love when I go by and I see everybody doing work on their properties and improving the city and the neighborhoods. But you know, the process is the process. And as we're going through this, I think the process was done right and over a period of time. Time sometimes is an enemy. And as of right now, I would, you know, I don't know what housing can contribute, what they want to say, but we need information for us to make a decision on whether the process was executed properly. Is somebody talking? Okay, there's some background someplace. So is there anybody else who wants to speak? If not, we'll jump to the public for a minute.
Madam Chair, through you, I'd suggest that everyone who isn't speaking, please mute themselves, just so there isn't any feedback. Would you like to hear from Alana in the Housing Division before we
Sure.
jump to the public?
Yeah, I'd like, I'm asking for the people that came tonight, our specialists that work for the city, to give us some more information from last week or to highlight. They had a couple of weeks to 3 weeks almost to think about this. If you can highlight a couple of points for us to help us easier make a decision. So Alana, I'd love to hear what you have to say. You were with us the last time, and I welcome you back.
Sure. Through the chair, yeah, I guess just in terms of a few things to keep in mind, this is, and the way that I'm thinking about it, a lot of this is within the memo. This is a 4-bedroom unit. So I think that there's a couple of contributing factors in terms of when you're looking at the general price. So I do want to just make the actual fractional payment. So I want to point out that it is a larger unit, it's a higher fraction. I think beyond that, what was the other piece that I was just going to note? I'm so sorry. Yeah, I mean, the calculation sheet is all kind of there. The big thing to point, which I'm grateful to Frank for pointing out as well, is Warren Group data was not used in the most recent calculation. So I think it's worth emphasizing that as well. Those are a few of the high points that I can note. I'm happy to pass this to Nick through the chair.
Is Nick here? Nick?
Hello, Madam Chair.
Oh, there you are.
Yes, through you, I'd like to say that yes, through the testimony and through our review, that was the point of writing the memo, was to show that we had followed the process that was written in the zoning ordinance. It was a little cumbersome, and there was some language that we had to work through, and we've discussed it with the law department. We've reviewed it with the assessors. We've reviewed it with housing, and we reviewed it internally with planning. So that is how we came to the updated memo that showed the assessors providing the comparables and the amounts that we were using. That also shows why we determined what time frame we were using, because the ordinance doesn't specify a time frame for when these comparables are supposed to be taken. So there are a lot of factors in there that we did look at, and that updated memo that was provided by housing correctly put in place the actions of the ordinance. And that's what we stated in the email that followed up, that said we agreed with how they did it, and we are approve of the memo that they issued with the fractional buyout amount.
Okay, all right. So we have the assessors. Who did I miss here? We have the assessors, we have the Alana, we have Frank, we got Nick. Anybody else want to speak from the city? Anybody else here that I don't see? Okay, we'll jump over then. Emily, can we see what the public has to say? Their little input, please. Not little, I meant their input for
Yes.
2 minutes.
Madam Chair, through you, I'm going to try to share my screen and jump back and forth between
Okay,
members of the public, recognizing them and letting them speak at the same time. So I see Meredith Porter has his hand raised. Mr. Porter, you should be able to unmute yourself and speak.
Okay, Meredith Porter, 104 Josephine Ave. Here are my comments. The zoning ordinance refers to the price of comparable market rate units sold within the city of Somerville. Given the phrase "within the city of Somerville," it's reasonable to interpret this as including units sold across the city, not necessarily in the particular location involved. The intent here, I believe, is to determine what it would cost the city to purchase a 4-bedroom unit and make it affordable, the purchase price less the affordable price, and to take 20% of that result. The narrative provided by the appellant consists mostly of an appraisal of the entire building. It's notable that this is not an appraisal of the value of a 4-bedroom condominium within the building. If a building is purchased and converted to condos without any additional improvements, the combined cost of the condos is substantially higher than the purchase price of the building. The ISD superintendent cited as City of Somerville assessor as a qualified professional to determine what comparable unit should be used for the calculation. This seems reasonable to me. Note that in response to the appeal and to ensure compliance with the law, the calculation was revised to cover sales selected by the assessor in the 1-year period prior to issuance of the building permit, rather than the original number, which was based on Warren Group data for sales almost 2 years later. And I believe that the city has thoroughly addressed any concerns raised in the appeal and that the appeal should be rejected. And I would add that the appellants did raise some issues, and it's good that they did raise them and that the city addressed their concerns. And I believe that we should be all set now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Who's next, please?
Madam Chair, through you, I see Ted Silva has his hand raised. Mr. Silva, you should be able to unmute and speak from your end.
I didn't hear from the expert realtor on the board, Charlie Ball, number one. But number two is, with all due respect to the city, you're telling me that a home with 4,000 square feet that has 4 bedrooms, large bedrooms, I'm talking large bedrooms, it's a 4,000 square foot home, has the same value as a 2,000 square foot home with 4 smaller bedrooms. Square footage matters. With everyone from the public speaking and the board speaking, when you buy a home, square footage matters. So let's put it in this perspective, okay? Some of the comps the city used are 2,000 square foot homes. So you're telling me a 2,000 square foot home with 4 larger bedrooms is the same value as a home with 4 smaller bedrooms. We're talking about 1,100 square feet here. These are 4 small bedrooms. I don't care how you look at it and what city you go to in the world, okay? A 4,000 square foot home is worth more than a 2,000 square foot home. That's just the way it is. Most cities go by square footage. When you buy a condo, what's the square footage of a condo? That's what it sells for. Hey, this one's 500 square feet. That's what it sells for. So I love the city. I love the public. But if you're not counting square footage, you're not doing a proper assessment of the property. If you take a 500 square foot apartment and put 4 closet-sized bedrooms, you can't say a 500 square foot apartment with 4 closet bedrooms is the same value as a 2,000 square foot apartment with 4 larger bedrooms. You see my point here? You could take a studio and make 4 closets and say those are 4 bedrooms. And with your rationale, with your logic, it's the same value. Hey, it's 4 bedrooms. It's the same value. See my point?
Are you connected with the Silva Realty?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Silva, would you please just state your name and address for the record?
Ted Silva, 206 Holland Street, Somerville, Mass.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Emily?
Madam Chair, I do not currently see anyone else with their hand raised. Again, a reminder from members of the public, if you would like to speak at this time, please raise your hand. Madam Chair, I'm still not seeing anyone else with their hand
Okay,
raised.
we're going to close the public portion of this case right now. And I'm going to jump over to, I was not ignoring Mr. Ball. I don't see him. Oh, there you are up there, Charlie. I wasn't ignoring you. I want to come back from the public to see if we had some more stuff for people to answer. So I apologize to Mr. Silver if he thought I was. I was not. Charlie Ball, I think you have something to say.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. So again, having heard both sides of the argument, I can certainly understand where it's a challenging job for the assessor's office to come up with a value for a 4-bedroom rental unit, which obviously has some value as a rental unit. But then, just to determine what its market value would be for sale is already a challenge because it's not a condo, right? It isn't for sale. It can't be purchased separately. It doesn't have that form of ownership. If it did, obviously it would have a value. And I don't think anyone from, from this side of things is suggesting that there shouldn't be a fair value for it. There should be a payment made, and that was understood. By the way, I'm Charlie Ball, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Commonwealth. I'm a full-time real estate salesperson, a real estate broker in Somerville. I have been for over 25 years. My office is also on Holland Street, 205 Holland Street. I'm familiar with the building. I'm familiar with this unit. Having been doing this for a long time, including the entire time in question, when we're pulling these comparables from, the most important piece of data that buyers who determine the value based on what they pay for a condominium, is the square footage. That is the number one most important piece of information that buyers look for. Obviously, location, also very important. We understand that. The fact that the comparables used by the assessor's office are all in Somerville, that makes sense. Wouldn't make sense to say, well, location doesn't matter. And I appreciate, our professional from the assessor's office, who has indicated that, he did his best to find geographically close. Mr. Golden said he found as close as he could. Some of them are in the middle of the city. Understood. I think what the zoning ordinance is saying by they must be Somerville properties is that you can't use something from Cambridge or Charlestown or Medford as a comparable. It doesn't mean that a property in Davis Square has the same value as one on Cross Street. So my interpretation of that would be that you can't just use all Somerville and say that they all have the same value. But the location obviously is important, but we're talking only about Somerville. And so, okay. We're on the same page there. But the square footage is much more important than the number of bedrooms. Speaking of value, it's typically determined by supply and demand. There is not a huge demand for small 4-bedroom condominiums in the city of Somerville. It's not, if you were to say, here's a 1,200 square foot unit and it has 3 bedrooms, here's another one with 4 bedrooms, which is worth more. There's a negligible difference between those in terms of the value, the market value of those units with similar square footage, but different number of bedrooms. I would even say that a 2-bedroom condo with 1,200 square feet of living area is worth negligibly more than a 3-bedroom. When it goes from 2 to 1, there's a big difference. But the market for condominiums in Somerville is determined by the demand for them and the supply of them. And there is not an overwhelmingly higher demand for 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms for condos of this size. So again, I understand it's a really challenging job to come up with a value. I understand that it can be clouded somewhat by the fact that it's a renovation. They did a nice job with it for sure. And that it's hard to find 4-bedroom comparables of this size. Understood. And what I heard
Okay,
Mr. Golden
all
say
right.
was,
Okay, thank you. Anybody on the board have anything more they want to ask or say? Are you ready to vote? Are we ready to vote? Yes, Ian says yes. Yeah, Ian, go ahead.
I guess I could give my opinion. When I listened to the recording last week, there seemed to be it was unknown, right, what criteria the assessor's office used, where and the Warren Group issue has been resolved, and that were there enough factors when considering the value and how were they weighed. So that seemed to be the issue in the last meeting. And then hearing from Mr. Golden today, at least gave me assurance that a lot of due diligence was followed, by looking at it again, and his explaining his process and saying that it was tough, but that he did look at all the different factors that everyone is talking about. And, you know, would everyone have weighed all the different factors with the exact same formula, the same way? There doesn't seem to be consensus, but to me, it seemed like a thorough process, due diligence and rechecking has been followed by the city.
Thank you. Thank you, Ann. Brian Cook.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I feel the same way as Member Brockelman. The zoning ordinance provides wide discretion on calculating based on the area. That is the area of the geographic area, as well as what constitutes a comparable unit sold. I'm satisfied that the assessor made a good faith effort to address some of the concerns of the appellant, but also to use his expertise and the data available to him. It's unfortunate that the calculation comes out the way that it does with respect to the impacts on the appellant, but there's nothing to indicate that the city staff has done anything that's in opposition to what's in the zoning ordinance, and we're the zoning board of appeals, so we're responsible first for interpreting or understanding the interpretation of the zoning ordinance. So as difficult as it is for the appellant and for the folks who have had to prepare the calculations, I think it was done in sincere and good faith effort, and I'm ready to vote.
Thank you. Anybody else, or if you're just gonna echo what we've heard? Okay. I'm ready to vote. I'm happy with Ann's explanation and Brian piggybacking on that. I think you could get 5 assessors to appraise one house and you're gonna get all different numbers. Our concern was the process handled properly? And I think that what I'm happy with is that when the appellate came to the city the first time and wanted them to re-look at it and reconsider it and make sure they were on the right track, right away, the city did it. And I think they've done it well. We're not always happy with how it is, but this is the process. This is the formula. And as we go forward, this is the way it's going to be. And as long as people understand how we get to that figure, that you make a deal and, you know, we sign contracts and we hope it's anything in the building business, buying business, especially these times, you know, since the, you know, what we've been going through, things take longer and there's different numbers. So I'm ready to vote tonight. And I think the inspectional services in the assessor's office, with the help of the inclusionary housing and just the housing department in general, I think they were all on board, and I think they're one mind now, and we're going forward, and I'm happy with their decision. So I'm ready to vote. Okay, may I please then have a motion from the clerk tonight, which is our chair, our vice chair?
Yes, just to make sure again, I'm going to make a motion to approve the appeal, and then it's a yes to approve the appeal or no to deny the appeal. So again, it's a little bit counterintuitive. Should I go, Madam Chair?
Yes, please do. And
Okay.
for the record, we're showing that Brian Cook is voting tonight as the 5th board member. Go ahead, Ann.
Yes. In the matter of 126 Cross Street, case number ZP 24000057, I make a motion to approve the administrative appeal of the building official's calculation of the affordable housing fractional payment.
Can I please have a second on the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Brian Cook. All in favor of the administrative appeal? As we go around, vote your favor or your negative. Here we go. Ann Fullerton,
Nay.
Brian Cook,
Nay.
Zach Zaremba,
Nay.
Ann Brockelman,
No.
and Susan Fontano, no. Let the record show, we had 5 no's with the motion. The administrative appeal does not carry. Anything else? Emily, was that okay, the language?
Madam Chair, through you, yes, that for the purposes of writing the decision, and the minutes, that was appropriate.
All right, thank you. I thank you, all city people for coming out tonight. I thank the appellate folks and your backup people that supported you. And I wish you good luck as you go forward. Thank you very much. The next thing tonight is if there's other business. I'll take a minute or two. I get,
Madam Chair, through you,
am I messing up here?
Madam Chair, through you, sorry, I don't believe there was any other business on the agenda.
No, I don't believe there is. I was gonna ask. I see Mr. Golden still sitting there looking at us. I didn't know if I didn't say something right, but it was a pleasure seeing and meeting you.
Madam Chair, through you, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Anytime you need me, let me know.
okay, thank you. Thanks for your information for us. It helped us make the decision. Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Good night. No, so to the board, there is no business printed here, but does anybody have anything they want to say? No? All right, well, I guess we need a motion to adjourn.
Yes, I make a motion to adjourn the ZBA meeting tonight.
Okay, may I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Brian Cook. All in favor? Cece Daglian?
Aye.
Hi, kid. Welcome tonight. Didn't get
Thank
to
you.
hear much of you.
Next time.
You got it. Zach Zaremba?
Yes.
Thank you, Zach. Ann Fullerton?
Aye.
Aye. Brian Cook?
Aye.
Aye. Susan Fontano? Aye. Ann Brockelman?
Aye.
Great. Let the motion show that everybody's in favor of adjourning. Thank you, guys. Thank you for you 2 members that weren't here last week for really doing your due diligence and catching up. I appreciate it. We're professionals, and I think you showed it tonight, all of you. I thank Emily for all her hard work. You're always giving us our beautiful staff reports and joining us and helping us and keeping us on the straight and narrow here. So thank you. Everybody enjoy the rest of the week. It's supposed to be beautiful weather. And we'll see you all on September, what are we talking here?
18th.
18th? Is
Mhm.
that right?
Through you, Madam Chair, yes, that's correct. And I think it may be a large agenda, so everyone gear up.
Oh, no. Okay.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. Can't we spread these out a little bit?
We try as much as we
Alright.
can.
All right. Thank you very much, Emily. Bye, guys. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.